instead of switching up strategies, if something doesn't go your way one game, keep doing what you do best and do what got you into the finals. Believe in yourself.
I love it. Practice makes perfect. And Nick always coming in with that amazing mindset of yours. Love it. Yeah. I do have a question then. So, what's in that Falcon Scout item? Is that one of your favorite items in the loot pool currently?
Yeah, I may have used a little bit of it in Tifu's 100K zero build tournament. It was a ton of fun.
That was a nice heist, by the way.
Thank you. Epic always crushes it when it comes to like a good balance of competitive and also fun. Like that's just the perfect item. And I think, you know, my favorite though is probably the Infinity Blade. I think the chat and I think a lot of the competitive players would love it to come back. So that'd be one of my favorites.
Amazing. And yeah, like again, it's so good to see him play with that. I'll have to try the Falcon Scout as well.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. We appreciate your time, man. Enjoy the rest of your stream, and we'll catch you later. Nick A30. What a homie. Miss that guy so much. He's the best. Positive. I mean, he just looks amazing. You saw his face. I don't need to say much more on that. But here we go. Only 3 games left to go. Many of these duos are thinking the same thing. What do we need to change? As Nick pointed out, sometimes you just got to do the same. Repetition. Just do what you do.
Hey, halfway point. We're here to see you finish it strong.
Let's go. Guess what? Game 4. Now, here we go. With 3 games left, who will rise? Who will fall? Let's find out. Game time.
Game number 4 is upon us, the halfway point of the competition. We've already seen a lot of action today, but there is plenty more still to come.
Yeah, and with the battle bus gassed up and ready to go, we're getting right into the action because even Fortnite knows how important this is going to be with the last 3 games. Where you stand on the leaderboard means so much. Some teams already clinched their spot in the finals. We've talked about it. Other teams fighting for an opportunity just to get Surge Week, and others, they don't want to go ahead and even taste what's going to happen, watching it at home with a nice bag of popcorn.
Yeah, look, I know we've got a game on our hands, but I do just want to say I love Nick A30. If I see anybody recommending the Infinity Blade come back, I'm going to lose my mind. I ain't having it. Nick, you hear me? I ain't having it. Anyway.
I actually liked it a little bit.
Okay, I don't like you anymore, Jacob. I don't like you. Scope, though, picking up a nice and easy limb to start the game. That's going to be a switch up in the pace, right? Visuals and Scope sometimes having struggles at this POI. We've seen so many 50-50 fights take place there. So when you see it go so smooth, so quick, so easy, it's always favorable for that team. In the case of Users and Polarized, though, we want to see them start to pick up the pace.
Yep. Right out of the gates, 2 straight eliminations. Contested that POI. Down goes Bizzle. Down goes Blake. Throughout the past 2 weeks to get to this point, hey, they were on fire. They were doing great, but their game number 4, not so much. That one comes to an end, but other people's misfortunes is another person's blessing as they get 8 more points to their total.
I'm sorry, that was so comical to me seeing him try to use the SMG from that far away and not hearing anything. Nevertheless, still got better aim than me, so I can't really talk, can I?
We tried it at least. That's all I hope for any duo.
Got another try.
That I have. Yeah, at least try. At least give some effort. Because imagine if he would have got it. That's all I got to say is imagine that. Encrypted.
Not this game.
I like this. They got a nice split drop over here towards the south. One of them taking the full islands. And Ducky is taking all the houses on the other side.
Yeah, and one of the benefits of that spot is just how much gold you can get. The amount of Oathbound chests that are available to you. You see that so many top teams this season across different regions land that split and find success. Will there be another one to add to that list?
I loved watching this team of Ed and Miro just getting better and better each and every game. And you got to imagine it goes back to that game number 1 where Miro was by himself, giving Ed all the confidence in the world. Chubbs and Bryce got to have all that confidence as well, being so consistent up until this point. You can see how they're doing it. Chubbs just hunting for those early game surge tags. That way, towards the mid portion, they could focus on getting to their position, focus on getting to the zone, and trying to gatekeep anybody out that they choose.
Yeah, and of course, I trust these guys imperatively, right? We've seen how consistent they've been with their early and mid game. They've been a constant force in the end game situations where, you know, we're seeing them roll it up time and time again. So I'm not too worried about them when it comes to that. Of course, though, when it does come to end game, can they be more clinical when it comes to picking up refreshes and claiming layers? That's going to be the difference between them finishing where they are right now in the standings and finishing in first place.
for a team that finished first place in a game today, Clix and Donnie. I love watching this Anvil Square because it just goes to show how much resiliency you need in order to get back into the game after these off-spawn fights that drag out. Third parties come in, fourth parties as well. It just gets so hard and frustrating that any normal man can kind of let it bother him. But for Clix and Donnie and everybody else here, it's not going to phase him too much. Woozy's separated. Donnie goes high and above, trying to land the shots, dropping him down low, right into the hands of Clix, who's trying to just continue to drop him, pressure him. You can even see him building below to drop him into his own box, and that's where it comes in. Clix drops him down to his lair and continuing the pressure. Piece control going over. A huge tag to take his shield right off, and Clix returning back, not letting go, not giving up, keeping the pressure on, even while losing Donnie throughout all this. Both of them are going to go for that refresh and the siphon, but it's Scolds who lands the big shot when it mattered most.
That is a big upset. It felt like Clix and Donnie had things figured out, but no, they fall here in game 4, and so after a very impressive first 3 games, now a game where they will have to watch just like us for the remainder. Will that derail their tournament, or will they be able to stay resilient mentally and not allow it to fumble the rest of the day? Either way, seeing a team so high in the standings fall that early is never ideal, especially when you're a fan of them.
It's a big moment for Keys and Freeze right here. They need this in order to get their own spot in the finals, as he's going to get through the box. Freeze, he goes down. Sinks makes him regret his choices. Blue in to save the day again. These guys won't give up either. It doesn't matter if they're the most known. It doesn't matter if they're the biggest superstars. They're not going to slow down nonetheless. But back to something we saw early on. Eoxy and Swirl going up against scoped visuals. A third party trying to come in the distance. So closing this one in a timely fashion is important for both of these teams.
You know, we've seen Swirl and Eoxy in a bunch of really weird situations, these awkward sort of mid-game fights like this one. So we'll see whether or not they have what it takes to beat out Visuals and Scopes here. Of course, now, you mentioned that third party in the distance, looking to maybe capitalize on the fight and get some easy surge tags. Visuals was very aware of them, and so he tried to get some back, but not necessarily getting the trade that he would have wanted. It was favorable.
Really unique opportunity there. Instead of focusing on the team that was above him, he's just focusing on the big picture, which is Storm Surge as Kanata and Agers immediately rotating, leaving their POI, trying to get themselves the best spot in the zone as possible. We got a little bit of a north shift, and that's why they're trying to go to try to gatekeep every single team below them out. As D-Roller and Jackson in another fight right here against Hide and Seek and Cooper. Cooper's too far out. He has to go ahead and close the distance rather quickly, and I think he's going to get there just in the nick of time, but I might have cursed him. He goes down, but a dunk from Cooper's teammate, Hide and Seek, to go ahead and make it into a 1v1 situation. D-Roller's now just trying to get the pieces all around and take control altogether, and he does so back-to-back. Boxes him like a fish. Hide and Seek can no longer hide as D-Roller continues to chase him down.
Hide and Seek almost getting put in a whoopty right there. D-Roller, he's feeling it right now. But can he close things out? He needs to connect, and he will. That was clean. I stand. D-Roller, I stand. Lovely stuff.
That was smooth. That was smooth from D-Roller, really saving the dig. And Jackson didn't even go down, so that's a quick revive right back into the game. Just like Iamzo and Rise. Big games, great consistency so far, 172 points. And throughout the past 2 weeks, we have both been saying it time and time again. Oh my God, the shots Rise is putting in, it's like he's raining from below. But what I'm talking about there is this is one of those teams where you just need to give them a chance off spawn. They're going to rise to the top of leaderboards. They're going to cause a ton of disruption in the lobby. And with visuals down, Scope getting chunked out, that's a huge amount of disruption into the game there. And they're on the chase. Shockwaving up, trying to make this one look easy. Scope getting enough HP, using as much flashes as possible to try to build himself some stability here as he continues to back down. I love the pressure from Eoxy and Swirl, trying to strike while the iron's hot, but somebody else is nearby. Another team looming in the distance, trying to take advantage. That's Chimp, that's Spade. If Eoxy and Swirl don't watch out, they could be on the receiving end of some hurt.
Yeah, they are being so patient about it as well. Chimp and Spade try not to make any sudden movements, keep their position hidden. And if the opportunity falls into place, that could be huge. I don't know if Eoxy just spotted them there, and he did. Yep, Eoxy saw them. And so surprise attack won't come through. Nevertheless, though, there is still a big opportunity here for Chimp and Spade to find something that can boost them and catapult them up above in the standings. Of course, some of their biggest competitors, Pix and Donny, have fallen, and so there is a chance for them to change their current position in the standings this game.
Teams that know when to pick their battles here. Deoxys shields him yet again. Just hunts him down. Doesn't want to let 4 points slip through their fingers at this stage in the game. We know how important the implications of the leaderboard will play out at the end of this one. As Macwood looking good, looting up along with Threats, putting themselves into tip-top shape. Not too much to worry about as the zone continues to pull north, a little bit west as well. They have a bunch of static launch pads they can use to their own to keep themselves alive. And with Miro getting shoved down towards the low ground, Ed a distance away from Stript and Haji, this would be the perfect time to try to pounce. Will they do it, though?
Well, that is always the question everybody wants to know. With Ed and Miro in the form they're in, they're not necessarily a team you want to be fighting. Of course, Miro had a crazy amount of limbs last game.
These are those moments for a team like them. This decision right there for them to either engage or disengage can really decide if they get first place or not. One bad game at this stage can really hurt so much with how consistent our top competitors are. And for Walkers and Burt, they already had a little bit of a stumble in the previous game, so they're looking full steam ahead. We know how aggressive, we know how easily they could take over a game at a moment's notice.
Bryson Chubbs. It's not going to be the easiest of games for them. You guys maybe can't see the zone in the bottom right, but they obviously do have a ways to go. They have the maximum possible distance to move to be able to get to the safe zone. They're all the way down in the southeastern zone. It's all the way in the northwest. And so they're going to have to rotate alongside a bunch of teams if they're to make it into the zone in a safe position.
All while in the back of their head, Storm Surge being a little bit of a threat and a worry. That's why you see a lot of teams while rotating trying to put the shots, especially the max rotate that you talked about. 20 in rhythm, already off to a hot start. 2 eliminations, 400 above the threshold. This is how you carry momentum from a victory royale into the next game.
Speaking of momentum, is Miro still got his fingertips hot? Is he gonna come through and do what he did so well last game?
85 above the damage threshold for them. It's still very, very early on. They don't put all their eggs into one basket. They're trying to loot up. They're trying to make sure they have enough resources. Meanwhile, still going for Surge as well. Fazo and Stacky trying to do the same thing. A little bit of separation between the two. But with Stacky being outside of zone, Fazo is inside of zone, setting themselves up for a spot for safety. The only question is Stacky going to be able to rotate in time as he continues to try to look. Spots out Chimp and Spade into the distance. Probably calling out to his teammate as well. Possible opportunity for them to get Surge is Acorn and Gold, trying to rotate all the way from the Slappy while being 452 above the damage threshold. They're looking to have a much better performance in these next 3 games. So, see the rotation coming through, and they're finally going to find their spot with a little bit of height, a little bit of elevation to work with before they set up their box. And as we keep talking about a northwestern zone, it's still going to be that stack side that they're after, and that's why you see those big bush bombs going down.
Of course, here we have a team who I'm sure many people want to give their plaudits, but not the brightest of starts to the day, and just 18 above is not a very strong position by any means, especially when they are taking shots from every which way towards Breakwater Bay. Clarity G sitting just up above them on the top of this hill might make things all the more difficult for them if they have ambitions of moving from this current position. If they do choose to just stay here, though, they may be fine.
Now he's trying to sneak up on Bryson Chubbs. They spot that one out from a mile away, but third party coming in. Everybody in this position being pressured. Count Storm Surge as well. Splash is coming out from Bryson Chubbs. They're trying to keep themselves alive, trying to keep themselves topped off as well as Nosh is there trying to break through. Piece control is going to be important. They don't have very much to work with Chubbs is getting chopped down low, just a sliver of HP. A huge shot by Nosh. A perfect opportunity for them to try to get 2 more eliminations, but Gary comes in, takes down Nush and Not. really playing party pooper to this bunch as Chubbs and Bryce still under pressure. And this is a huge opportunity for Gary to try to take advantage. Up and over, downs, yet another player. Sentinel is going to go down, so it ends up in a 1v1 situation here. And with a knock already happening, that siphon's only a matter of time. So Gary has plenty of time to work with to try to finish off Chubbs. And that's where you see him boxing him in, trying to take control of the pieces and the layers. But I think he's going to get out just in the nick of time. Chubbs knows the resources aren't there. He doesn't have too many seconds to work with as Gary just backs down yet again.
Oh, Gary, you saw what he was going for. And it was an impressive attempt at that, but Chubbs was ready and waiting and connected with the all-important shot.
He just needed to stay alive.
That's all he needed.
He just needed to stay alive. 5 more seconds is all it took. He edits in, and that's a decision right there that he will never make that mistake again. Never in his life will he make a mistake like that. Peeking when you're up on surge, your opponent is basically living on a prayer. Especially when he rewatches that one. That's a lesson learned as Chubbs finds. Oh man, what a find. Bandages, med kits.
Campfire.
All he needs is s'mores, and he got himself a great day.
Great day indeed, and still a chance to stay in this game and continue the run they've been on.
Mac winning threats. Good consistent run for them as well. Continuously looking for surge, trying to stay one step ahead of the curve. The rest of the lobby pulled a little bit more northwest again, and that's why they're just trying to set themselves up where they think most of the players are going to try to rotate from. That's where they're going to try to either weaken them, get their storm surge. Spade gets a huge amount of HP chunked out. Scold looking like he's about to go down, but a huge backfire taking down both Chimp and Spade. Woozy and Scold are going to be one of those teams that are just ruining everybody's games here as they're trying to make a run for themselves.
Woozy and Scolds. We've seen how many times they've had to deal with Clicks and Donnie in this game, in this lobby, sorry. But in this game, where they don't have to worry about them, they finally have some room to breathe. They'll make their way into zone. Will they be able to capitalize on this currently way down there in the standings, but still plenty of potential to rise with a good game here. Chubbs is going to have to hope that Doji and Rokane aren't in their normal aggressive mood and looking to catch somebody out, because if they are, he is only a couple tiles away.
That makes traveling on this stack side of the zone so hard. Even if you have a shockwave hammer, you still got to take it step by step, inch by inch, having to use a lot of resources to make sure you get there. Rokane and Joji don't even know Chubbs is just one box nearby, and you can see him biding his time, trying to peek at the perfect moment. And it does look they might have spotted him out, trying to use that pile of leaves, as much cover as possible. You see the augment where he takes out his mythical tactical pistol out, and even celebrating it. I know you like that emote.
Yeah. I'm not gonna promo myself here, don't worry. Joji and Rokane are gonna move towards the zone. Still have a bit of time to go, because Chubb's still there in the background. And as he makes his move, they might be able to look and catch him out if they do look back. Cold is only a tile away in front of them, and so they need to be careful. They actually get a drop down, which isn't too bad, but they need to be very cautious of the team who is literally sharing that box with them. Cold and Acorn see a knocked body in the side, like, we want a bit of that action, and Rokane now actually gonna suffer as a result of it. Joji left alone in this one.
Doing everything he can, just backing down Cold.
He has the body, he has Rokane, so he might be able to get the res there.
That was a huge shot. Cold and Acorn know that the player's still weak. They know it's only one. As they go right in and finish that one off, sending Rokane and Joji back to the lobby as the Zone rise. Start their climb to the top, trying to gain high ground, but fourth zone a little bit too soon, but they're trying to set themselves up right now, so that way they can probably shockwave to the next side of zone, get the front side to steal it away from a lot of these teams, but they hear Stacky down low. They know that player's there. They're trying to take advantage while they can, but instead, Yamso just finds the loot. He's trying to take what little reward that he can and set himself up.
What do we have here? You can see Cold and Acorn. The moment they realize, hey, we ain't letting you guys get that res, you better think twice. And maybe now a redemption game for this duo, as Cold and Acorn, who, again, for people who maybe haven't been tuned in all of this season, they were one of the biggest favorites in NA East coming into FNCS, and it just hasn't quite gone that way for them so far in the competitions. We're here in week 3, maybe a chance to properly announce themselves to the rest of the lobby.
16-time FNCS finalist, Kanata. I feel like he's probably one of those prolific players yet to hold the axe of champions, but hey, this could be his season. Already going to be in the grand finals of the FNCS Major 1. He just needs to be able to seal the deal, and I think that's why you see him and Agers playing so hard, testing themselves, because they know that finals lobby is going to be just as hard, if not harder, so every single second you can get to practice matters. As Chubb's peeking through the cone, trying to gather all that information. Does he know that Kanata and Agers are that close nearby?
Oh, yeah, well, if anybody's close by to D-Roller in the form he's in this game, they might have a couple issues on hand. D-Gent in the distance is going to fall in the hands of Macwood, that is, and so D-Roller not able to pick that one up. Jackson with him as well. Ed and Miro, though, still alive, still moving. But unfortunately for Ed, he's moved into the wrong spot. As our player's looking at him, and HP is going to be sparse right now. If he can create some space and get some time, he does have the means to get his HP and shields back up.
But because of that pressure, you can see them expend a lot of resources, a lot of mats. But luckily for them, they have time, and they have the high ground to go ahead and figure out what they want to do next. But that's going to be a far pull away from them into a stacked front side of the zone as Chubbs at the solo, still trying to put the pressure there. Storm Surge still being active in this lobby, and Chubbs doing a good job of staying above it. 258, bouncing around, trying to find himself that sweet spot, something to work with here in the situation. Forced down low just a little bit, but for him it's not too much of a worry because he still has that shockwave hammer as Yamzo and Rise trying to top themselves off. They look like they need a refresh, and they need it bad.
Yeah, they need one desperately in this game. It's not going to be enough with what they have right now. And so, with desperate times call for desperate measures, what are they going to have to do? Cold and Acorn, though, not maybe the optimal hammer there for Cold, but nevertheless, they will still be able to start making their way on towards zone. Chubbs, though, again, not necessarily having the cleanest of rotations there. But nevertheless, even as a solo, still in this game.
Really making magic happen here. Yamzo and Rise trying to knock out the door, but they have to rotate too, so they have to really disengage out of this one. You can see them setting themselves up with one shockwave hammer between the two. They have to think outside of the box here, but still finding a way to stay hip to hip and travel to the front side of zone. But if you look at the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's Macwood and Threads. This could be their moment to have that pop-off performance I was asking for.
And that's exactly where Macwood wants to be. It's where he's always wanted to be. And as they're picking up the limbs here, it's going to be a good game for Macwood and Fretch. You've got to think, but can they hold on? We've seen so many times different teams looking good in this position, but not managing to do the business, to finish the job. Rise cannot finish the job there. He's going to leave Yomzo alone in this one. And you can see where he's sitting right now. He's hoping that somebody will just walk into his sights and give him the freest elimination ever. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, so he's going to have to get creative.
Cold and Acorn trying to do the same thing. You can see Cold holding the covers, Acorn splashing them up, making sure they know that they have enough shield and HP to make this rotation happen. As Chubbs, he gets bounced out, going to the front side of zone, sacrificing some HP to give himself a little bit more safety at the front side, looking up, trying to catch somebody slipping, dropping him down to his box. He's looking for a refresh. He knows that his end is inevitable if that one doesn't come to fruition, but his patience is key here as Cold finds an elimination on the reciprocal, catches him slipping, spots a few other players on the other side of that cover, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Bypass everybody, get to the front side, and continue to look back.
Things are finally looking on the up for this team. They're finally getting into their rhythm, but what is that going to lead to? Chubbs, I don't know how he's managed to stay alive. There's actually players having fights right above him, and he's only in a wood cone. It's not like he's invisible here, but nevertheless, he's holding his patience. The trigger finger is phenomenal from him, and he's going to use the hammer just to sort of move his way on out there, out of the way. No more players now in his vicinity, in his box. But actually decided maybe I want to get right back into the action. He's only got the 0 builds, and so he has to hit something massive.
It's going to be a real test for him, figure out how much longer he can survive in a situation like this. Ultimate low ground, still peek and choose, and gets out of the lobby as Pump is going to be the one alive here in the situation like this. Kanata and Agents, they got a hill to climb, but they're trying to get to the front side. Macwood and Threads from 7th zone to 8, trying to hold on and force everybody down below that mountain. This is a huge opportunity for them, but they don't have a ton of pressure to put out.
Yeah, and you can see just how aggressive Threats is getting, and there's a reason why there's teams like this one right here in the midst of fights all on these layers. Patch doesn't have Pamsu with him, and so having to resort to some of his key solo play, Acorn and Cold, they're going to keep it moving. Though there is a player, or a team, sorry, I should say, on this layer that they have to worry about. That's going to be Trashy and Pump, but they're going to pick up the eliminations just before they can, stealing them away, and then maybe even looking to initiate a fight onto them. The Hammer play knocking everybody up and around. Macwood and Threats, can they hold on to height? Cold's going to make it a bit more difficult for them, and Macwood actually falls, and so all of a sudden, things looking on the upper hand. Oh, Macwood, oh my goodness, Acorn now in the mix of things, and he's falling into a box he shouldn't have.
And it's going to be a great opportunity for the solos to really take advantage. Threats trying to stagger himself towards the back, probably picking up loot that Macwood left behind. Agers, does anybody know he's a solo? He could steal away this game. Trashy and Pump, only duo left alive. Caskers, the solo, losing clarity just moments ago, getting themselves into the top 3. They got him knocking on their door, though, as Trashy, he comes down. Shockwave galore. Out goes Threats. Out goes Pump. Caskers gets Shockwave Hammer outside of zone, and Trashy and Pump take the game.
Trashy and Pump doing it in style. He didn't even have to use his actual shotgun or AR or anything to pick up the final limb. He just said, look, let me show you what my Shockwave Hammer can do. Nicely done there as well to clear up the game. In those final moments, Jacob, we didn't know who was going to be able to take it. It was a mix and match between everybody in that lobby, but it was Pump and Trashy who came out victorious.
From Desi in game 1 last week, Mr. Savage all over social media, and now Trashy. That Shockwave Hammer is something a lot of people just don't expect to happen. And you can see a thumbs up and they're right back to business. Week to week, this man knows the job is not done. That's only game 4.
That might be the first time I think we've seen in the FNCS somebody do a no-look to finish a game and win it out like that. That is clean, that is stylish, that is exactly what I want to see from a team who we all have very high expectations of, and they're delivering right now.
Yep, and with another game going down to the wire, tossing everybody into a washing machine, into the dryer, tumble dry, everybody's getting tossed around, and it's only 3 people that can lead us to the promised land. Zeke, Vivid, Taco, where do we stand?
Thank you guys so much. Another fantastic game. And very quickly, let me introduce Vivid, who's going to be hanging out with us for the last set of games here on the day. My goodness. The Shockwave Hammer, no look, fade away. All right, see ya, you know?
Man, that was like the one point I was going to make, right? All the analysts that I had in my mind right there, it was all about the no look. Levin stole it, Zeke stole it, I don't even know. I'm at a loss of words after watching that.
I mean, I might as well double down on it at this point just to make sure that you're the only one that doesn't get a chance to say it. Yeah, that fade away was honestly tough.
Well, we'll take a look at our standings and see how things are kind of shaking up. Remember, we do still have 2 games left to go, so nobody panic. Everything's okay. But take a look how people are moving up and down that leaderboard. Miro and Ed the Great to the 2nd. Still looking good, right? Have it move. Bryce as well alongside Chubbs. These guys are staying strong. Agers and Kanata, though. Threats and Macwood. These guys are looking for that top spot.
A lot of big development that game there, Zeke. I mean, the biggest thing for me had to be that at one point in time, there was like 4 teams battling out for high ground, it seemed like, right? Unfortunately, though, for some of those teams, they didn't all get it. Macwood and Threats did come out on top of that. But while all that was going on, right, Kanata and Agers taking full advantage of that in the mid ground.
They've really just made sure to keep everything kind of all mixed up there in the mid-ground, because we saw a lot of congestion actually starting to take place from those teams that were trying to work their way through that hill pool from the moving zone. It's really just a tough spot for a lot of these teams to be in, but for Khan and Agers, they just made it look so smooth.
I mean, smooth is definitely the right word to use there, because, I mean, look at this. Another example of them making it into the end game, having no eliminations, but every single game, they are still fine on Storm Surge, and the biggest talking point there for me is that, you know, they're landing over at faulty splits, and there's like nobody landing around them. And we've seen in the past weeks that they were so reliant on their Storm Surge coming from those teams around them. But But in these games, they have to make those early rotations, but they're still finding the damage done. So I love how dynamic this team could be on a whim's notice.
Exactly. You would expect it to be a tough position to be in, but regardless of the circumstances, they still managed to make it work. And I remember even spanning all the way back to week 1, you discussing, I want to see more elims from these guys, and they're still managing to find them when it matters most.
I was wrong. They don't need them.
They don't need them. That's right. There you go. Another duo, Acorn and Cole, breaking into that top 10, right? With 2 games left to go, they're finally saying top 5, top 1, that's what we want to strike.
Levin was talking about, coming into the season, everybody's like, that's the duo. That's the one right there. And, throughout these weeks, they haven't necessarily been showing us their best performances, but maybe they're saving them for finals. But this game right here specifically, I believe it was 7th zone. Look at these mats. How on earth do you have that many materials? And this just led them straight into the end game. But they were still not afraid, even with so many materials, to go for some of these eliminations.
But it's still kind of crazy to think about the fact that Cold, he might have those 10 splashes, and it still is just so problematic in terms of finding opportunities to actually get a breathing room space to utilize them. It kept them going for a little bit longer, but it's just amazing how fast your resources are actually expended throughout these moving zone territories.
It was so close, Taco Bell, right? Like, it looked for a moment right there at the end. That shockwave hammer play came out. He went out onto the zone, found a huge shot on the Macwood, and Threats literally looked like he had 1 HP. Ended up finding the shot on the Acorn. That was, it was just so close. Very,
I was going to say, I don't even know if it was intentional either, but that was a little bit clean as well, where you had the back-to-back bounce off the wall. Whether the stars just aligned for him in that instance or not, it still just looked awesome.
It's all skill, right? That's clear. It's clearly skill. That's all.
At least when it works out.
Yeah, when it's not me, it's clearly skill. And then once again, we have to highlight Trashy, right? A victory royale in one of the coolest ways we've seen on the day. Remember, we had a chance to talk to these guys at the very start of the show, right? And you could tell Trashy was given maybe a little bit of short answers, but now I can tell why. They're locked in. They are so focused on what they have to do today.
Seemingly so in this game. Trashy and Pump. No, honestly, I didn't even see their names, right? They weren't making any, big waves in this end game or anything like that. Just kind of thriving throughout and letting all that chaos into that we just talked about between Acorn and Cold, Macwood and Threats. And they're like, oh, listen, all these teams on high ground, they want to fight for it. We'll join the party and we'll just take the victory royale.
And I think what helped them slide by there is the fact that this zone honestly pulled right into their backyard. So they made sure to make the most of it.
And just keep in mind, even with a performance like that, as stylish as it is, they're still not in that top 10, right?
Wow.
So,
yeah,
things to consider here with 2 games left to go. We just need another performance like that, and we could hit that top 10. We now have seen time and time again, you just need one good game to change everything.
But as far as Trashy and Pump are concerned, we've seen multiple instances of it. I'm sure they're not the only ones looking for it.
Zeke's making it sound easy, guys. It's not. This is an FNCS lobby, so, give these guys a break.
Yeah. Look, there's so much talent here in NA East. A lot of these players are feeling that, right? It just kind of takes that moment. I don't know, to me, it seems like sometimes players kind of get in their own heads, but when they kind of let go, we get moments like that. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot to think about, right? 3rd week of the FNCS. Some of these teams are literally fighting for their spot in Grand Finals and Surge Week, so we'll have to see how this plays out.
Oh, man. Well, guess what? Only 2 games left to go. How will this all conclude? Will we get more shockwave fadeaways? Let's find out. This is game number 5.
4 down, 2 to go. And with the pressure of your season coming to an end, it comes down to these final moments.
But I don't want to hear about pressure, Jacob. I said it at the start of the day, and I'm going to say it now. You have to deliver. If you want to be in the big boy lobbies, you got to perform at your best. And a lot of these players in this lobby have shown us they can do that. For the ones who maybe quite haven't, you still do have time. We have 2 more left on the way, and 2 that I'm very excited to see.
Yep, where you're at in the leaderboard matters so much, but you don't have time to think about it. The battle bus is ready. Game number 5 is upon us, Levin. And I gotta ask you, depending on where you're at in the leaderboard, if you need that spot in Surge Week, do you ramp up your gameplay? Do you hunt for those eliminations, or do you play to your plan?
If I'm Susscript, I just try and win off sports. That's my first priority. That's my first line of thought. Sinks is going to go down, and so that makes that somewhat possible. And I feel like we've seen this a number of times where Blue is now in a situation where he has to try clutch 1v2. Will Blue do it? The question that is yet to be answered and will finally be answered. It's unfortunately not going to be possible because Haji and Susscript are on a tear when it comes to this off-spawn battle.
Yeah, you can see the bait and switch come out. Susscript taking the brunt of the damage at first, then Haji going in. And users in polarized. not that same off spawn that you would expect since the last game. Bizzle and Blake trying to change things up. But over here, Rexo and Rapid, they're going to end up in a 1v1 situation. I think Rexo is going to try to bait out the revive. Rapid does have the height, dropping down low onto the steps, ends up toe-to-toe, takes out Rexo and saves the day for him and Serves and their journey throughout the rest of the day.
Oh, nice. Nicely done. And of course, the key factor to that is that you get a chance to play out a game together as a duo. And if the game's running out, that becomes all the more important. Acorn and Cold, we were waxing lyrical about them. And an impressive last game, one that pushed them into the top 10 understandings. Can they even push higher to close things out? Of course, the team that we were going to expect to see in the FNCS final. But nevertheless, going out in style would definitely be the way to do it. Over 40 though, trouble in paradise, Jacob.
Yep, that was Agers who went down to Users on this side as well. You saw Rokane and Joji go down. But faulty splits, and with so many teams contesting, I would expect nothing less than all-out action to really start it off. But Kanata is really going to be tested yet again. I talk about these little moments, even though he already has a spot clinched. It's all about that practice. He's a 16-time finalist and going ahead and trying to win that big one. As Walkers and Vert, they're trying to give themselves as much loot as possible. They haven't caught that same fire that we've seen him in weeks practice, but with 2 games left, there's plenty of time to get themselves on a roll. Polarizing Users. We saw this one go down right out of the gates between Blake and Bizzle. A few more seconds, maybe even a minute later than last time, but the end result's going to be the same. Button heads, making sure somebody doesn't make it out of this one. As the big bush bomb already down, Polarize has to pick and choose whether he wants to peek and get into the box as Blake is firing from below. The shots are there. Polarize just too much to go ahead and take down Blake, leaving Bizzle by himself. They just bomb rush into the box. Bizzle and Blake out again.
That one felt personal, man. Polarizing Users just tearing it up there. And of course, no love lost with that celebration at all. Macwood and Threats over at the Lonely Labs. And a lonelier day at the labs, because typically across these weeks you've seen them have to fight off spawn here a couple times, but in this game that won't be an issue.
Interesting to see what they're going to be able to do now that they are uncontested. Does this switch up their game plan? Lack and Surge as Bylox ends up against Kanata. Sneaky play, trying to strike while the iron's hot. He knows the player's weak, not wanting to let the splashes or any heals go off. Kanata is on the chase, but he reunites with Users. Kanata ends up in the box anyway, and he ends up back to the lobby. Luckily for them, they had a great start.
The mad thing is, yeah, when he walks into that box with 2 players, I think to myself,
he can still do it.
Yeah, like in most instances, you go like, yeah, he's about to go down. But for a moment, I thought, this is Kanata we're talking about here. Nevertheless, they're going to have to hit the drawing board, come back stronger for the last game. As we switch gears, though, Anvil, Square, Clicks, and Donny, they're looking for revenge. Of course, their run here was cut short in Game 4. But now a chance for redemption against a team that did it. Scolds is on the receiving end of some Clicks pressure. Their teammate Ruzi is going to look to try and redeem him. And now a 2v1 situation without Matze. He's going to need Donny to come to the rescue fast.
You see immediately give up that high ground, knowing he cannot continue to challenge it. Uzi and Skolds just trying to use their numbers. Donnie gets chopped down. Takes some fall damage as well, along with shield. Uzi back-to-back shots, making things happen for him and Skolds. As the Donnie and Clicks continuously fall down to the low ground, they separate him and they take out Donnie. Now it's all up to Clicks yet again, who disengaged long ago, trying to pick up some scraps because right now he's lacking shields, and Woozy and Skolds are on the hunt and they've already spotted him out. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, and after getting picked apart here in the earlier games, it looks like Woozy and Skolds have finally got their number. Another game where Clicks and Donnie go down, and a bit of a taunting there, you'd say, from Woozy. I don't know if that's going to go down well with the Clicks fans. I'm going to start rising in a second if he doesn't cut that out. Aoxy and Swell, I can assure you they're not here to bowl. They want to do a bit more than just that. Biolox and User might find out what exactly that is as Aoxy starts to take some shots again in one of these scrappy fights over towards this faulty splits area.
I like how he's just trying to top himself off. He built himself a little bit of a cushion Those pieces are his. He knows if they're going to try to push through. He does have the time. Aoxy trying to get an additional angle. But on the other side, Moo and Braze just waiting in the wings for Aoxy or anybody really to step through that door. But nobody really taking that one just yet. Aoxy and Swirl hears those players that were once enemies disengaging off of this one. And Braze and Moo, they're slowly but surely sneaking up into this exchange. Aoxy gets spotted out. 50. His shields just go right out the window. That was a huge double tag by Moo and Braze. They make that teamwork and take him down altogether.
Yeah, he didn't see it coming. He had no clue at all. It's a shame they weren't actually able to clean him up because it was a well-timed thing that they had going on there. But nevertheless, for Moo and Braze, there is still plenty of hope in this game. You've got to think, though, that it's probably some way away from Faulty with just how many teams. Like, oh, it feels like half the lobbies at Faulty Splits right now.
This is just a massive switch up of zones because of that. We got a southeast zone hovering a little bit over Faulty, which kind of explains why so many teams are kind of using that as an opportunity. There's so much time before a zone begins to push them in. Chimp and Spade, they got a little bit of that luxury as well. They're already on the south side. For them, it's just gathering up that surge because they know rotation isn't necessarily the most important thing for them right now because of how close it actually is. They just want to get their surge, set themselves up for the long game.
I like how you said we have a south side zone there. It's a bit of an understatement, mate. Half the zone is just water. It's not even on the map. Faulty Splits is like the only place people can even be, it feels like, which is why there are so many people there, right? But yeah, we'll see how this one develops. It's a good chance that because of the nature of the zone, the next zone, the second one, is going to pull towards that Faulty Splits area. There aren't many areas it can go to unless we're going to have a full water zone, which again is just not happening, is it?
Does that hurt or help any of the teams that are already in, specifically Faulty? Obviously, they're already fighting for their surge, so it's not going to be a worry for them. But anybody that might have that split drop, do you think it pulling towards them this far towards the south helps?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly, I think it can. Especially, like you said, if you're a team that has your surge figured out, I don't need necessarily any more in terms of the field. What should be pretty good, and of course, sitting in a position that's going to be very prominent for the rest of the game is never too bad of a thing.
2 chances left. This is game 5. Next one, the final one, game number 6. You can kind of see the picture being painted. Yeah. Hey, you didn't think it would go a little bit more south, but guess what? It just went a little bit more south. So all those teams at Faulty are now even going to have to rotate. Luckily for them, at least, they're rather close by. But for Yamzo and Rise, they're trying to get their surge so that way they can focus on their rotation. For them, it's going to be a little bit of a journey, not too much that they can't handle. But when it comes to surge, they don't want to have to rotate and go for those shots.
You can see here some of the scrappiness that takes place along the edge of the zone line with how far it's been of a pull.